Hey, what's up, everyone? I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Here's What I Think with your host, Charles Sabansi. We'll discuss everything from current events, economics, politics, and how it all relates to business and life. And folks, we got a crazy bombshell story here for you guys here today. But before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. So as you guys know, we've been covering and following this Diddy case very closely. And then subsequently, we started following the Jay-Z case after the Jane Doe came out and basically said that him and Diddy, in an amended lawsuit, basically art her after the MTV Video Music Awards in the year 2000. We reacted to that. We gave our thoughts and opinions on that. And we were like, I don't really see how this story is going to hold up in court, given all of the details, given some of the things that have been said in the case. Like, for example, one of the wrinkles in the case, because this apparently happened when she was 13 years old, was that she was in New York City, which was 5 hours away from where she stayed. After the event happened, she then was able to escape it, call her dad, who lives 5 hours away. They didn't ask the dad, hey, do you remember this happening? The dad said, I don't remember driving any 5 hours away to go pick her up. And then she then says, well, when my dad picked me up, he didn't even mention a word to me. That seemed crazy to me. Why? Because I'm a father. I have a daughter, not at that age. But if I'm a father and I'm picking up my 13-year-old daughter in the middle of the Manhattan, I pick her up, and I'm not going to ask her how you ended up out here. I'm not going to ask what happened. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. So she said that the father said he doesn't even recollect that. And then later on, she went out to say that, oh, some of her facts, she may not remember all of it. And people are like, well, if you don't remember some of these facts, how do we know that anything of what you're saying makes any sense whatsoever? But then something interesting happened yesterday. So I'm sure some of you are aware of Gene Deal, who is Diddy's former security guard. I've watched so much Gene Deal content. I saw the last night, or he had a documentary? I saw that one as well. And he's been in strong opposition to Diddy. Like, Gene Deal ain't feeling Diddy at all. And he's not hiding his feelings. And he's been chronicling the entire situation with Diddy all the way up to his arrest to where he is now. And one of the platforms that he's been disseminating a lot of his views on is the platform called The Art of Dialogue. So what happened? A bombshell revelation came out yesterday, and I'll tell you why it's a bombshell. Well, according to the plaintiff here in this Jay-Z, accuser here in this Jay-Z case, she said that she was at the music awards and Diddy's driver, or whatever it was in a limo. And he said, let me go drop off Diddy and then we'll come back and pick you up. As crazy as that sounds, that's what she said. But then Gene then goes on the Art of Dialogue and says, but wait a minute, I was with Diddy. I was part of his security detail back in 2000. And the fact of the matter is, we never used limousines. We always used trucks like Jeeps or whatever it is. And I was like, well, wait a minute now. Because if he's saying that and he was part of the security detail and she used that in her description to say that, oh, he picked up and took it to his limo, he's saying, no, we never used limos, then he just possibly won this entire case, because now her entire argument is falling apart. And now we have someone that actually was working with Diddy at the time. So it means that what Gene is saying could actually help him win this case against Jay-Z, and Jay-Z win this case against this accuser here. But if Diddy is also included in it, it means Diddy won the case too, because if it's not true for Jay-Z, how could it be true for Diddy? So what we want to do is we're going to play exactly what Gene Deal had to say here, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Well, when I first heard the when I first heard the allegations, I said to myself, that's 2000. That's when I was there. And so I got to read what was said and how it went down and everything like that. And then first of all, I start seeing some inconsistency. But I don't want to, criticize the victim or the person that said that they was a victim, but some of the statements and some of the things that I heard was incorrect. As far as I know what we did at that time. First of all, we did not use limousines. We used SUVs in 2000. You know what I'm saying? So when she said that it was a limousine that picked her up, or she went with a limousine driver, I was kind of skeptical and wanted to hear more about her story. So now she said that the limousine driver, got her into a party, but somehow she had to went to a gas station. And if you know that area, there's no gas stations unless you walk all the way up to 96th Street. That's like 40 something blocks. So I was like, or you had to walk to the west side, which is another 14, 15 long blocks. And then you would have to know where you're going to find that gas station because it's close to the West Side Highway. Unless you went all the way downtown, and then who gonna pick her up from that far away from the the venue where she went to? So, and then she said something about that, or well, the allegation said something about that she went with the limo driver. So did the limo driver drop Puffing them off or Jay them off, then came back and got her, then take her to the party? It was just a lot of inconsistencies. I was like, yo, first of all, we didn't even use limousines. You understand? Bad Boy used SUVs. So I found those being real inconsistent on what the story was she was talking about. And then for limousine driver who would know us, because our drivers didn't drive limousines, how you gonna tell somebody to get in the party? He had to go through security for that. And that just wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened. So I don't want to beat up the victim or the person that says that they are a victim, but I know for myself there's a lot of inconsistencies in what she was talking about regarding her being with somebody from Bad Boy, getting into a Bad Boy party, you understand, with a limo driver that we didn't even know. So, not trying to beat her up, not trying to save Jay or Diddy. But me personally, I didn't believe her story.
I mean, that says a lot coming from you being somebody that worked for Bad Boy at that time.
Well, what it says is that these people got to understand that there were people that was around. And then some people like myself, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell what I know.
So you heard what Gene said. You heard what he said. That is a major revelation there. He then brought up another point, which is funny but true. I grew up in the Bronx. Went to school in PS 37 in the Bronx. I went to high school in Manhattan, art and design. Spent all of these years in New York. Lived in Yonkers, all of that. So I spent a lot of my childhood or time or whatever it is in New York City, in Manhattan. My mom used to work at the UN there on 2nd Avenue. So I know New York very well. And one thing I can tell you is, if anybody that's from New York watching the show, the one thing all of them can testify for you is that it is almost impossible to find a gas station in New York, in Manhattan specifically. It is almost impossible to find a gas station in New York City. I don't remember seeing a gas station on 2nd Avenue at all. On 1st Avenue at all. The only place I remember seeing a gas station, I think, was behind Port Authority. I forgot the avenue after Port Authority. I remember there being a gas station there. In my entire time of being in New York, visiting, being around Manhattan, I think I've only seen 2 gas stations in all of Manhattan. 2. And if you listen to Gene Deal's description, he's essentially saying that this gas station that he went to was blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks away. Blocks away. If you listen to what the lawyer said, the Jay-Z's lawyer, the home that she described that this took place, Diddy's home, he didn't even have it. Diddy had a home in the Hamptons. He had a home in New Jersey, but these were at a different date. And he had a townhouse, I believe, or an apartment in New York City. So the locations that she's describing didn't even exist. And Gene, who was part of Diddy's security detail, is saying, we never use limousines. And this can be proven if you go through the information historically. Because if you now have the security guards saying we didn't use limousines, they can go back and check through expense accounts and all of that stuff and figure out what type of vehicles were being rented, where were they renting them. You can figure all of this out. So if that's not even true as well, folks, look, this case may be over with. And if Jay-Z wins this case against her, then there is no case against Diddy. So Gene, for as much as he seems to detest Diddy, he may be inadvertently helping him. Inadvertently. But it seems like even to him, the story was a little bit too fantastical for him to be like, you know what? I agree with her. He's like, nah, son. He was very careful with his words, not to bash her, but he like, this didn't happen. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show.